New York, the city that never sleeps, where dreams are made and broken in the blink of an eye. In a towering glass skyscraper, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech firm, a man named Richard Thorne, stared out at his kingdom. He was ruthless, powerful, and believed he was untouchable. But every empire has a crack in its foundation, and Thorne's was about to shatter. It all started with David Chun, a brilliant young coder who had just joined the company. David wasn't just talented, he was a prodigy. He saw patterns in code that others missed, finding elegant solutions to problems that stumped senior engineers. He was quiet, unassuming, and poured his heart into his work, often staying late, fueled by cheap coffee and a passion for innovation. One late night, while working on a new security protocol, David stumbled upon something strange. A hidden folder, buried deep within the company's servers, accessible only through a back door he had found by accident. His curiosity got the better of him. He opened it. Inside were encrypted files, logs of financial transactions that made no sense. Millions of dollars were being funneled through a series of shell corporations, all leading back to a single, untraceable account. It looked like a classic money laundering scheme, but on a scale he could barely comprehend. His blood ran cold. This couldn't be real. He cross-referenced the transaction dates with the company's public financial reports. The numbers didn't add up. The company was cooking its books, inflating profits to deceive investors. And at the center of it all, he saw a digital signature. He recognized Richard Thorne. David knew he was in over his head. Going to the authorities with just a bunch of encrypted files was risky. They'd laugh him out of the room. He needed more concrete proof. He also knew that if Thorne found out what he knew, his career, and maybe even his life, would be over. So, he devised a plan. He started subtly, copying the files onto a secure, external drive, a process that took weeks of careful, nerve-wracking work. Every click of the mouse felt like a thunderclap in the silent office. One person he did confide in, albeit vaguely, was Marcus, a senior manager in the IT department. Marcus was one of the few black employees in a leadership position. He was respected, sharp, and had a knack for reading people. He had taken a liking to David, seeing the young man's potential. When David hinted that he had found some irregularities, Marcus advised caution. In a place like this, he'd said, the walls have ears. Be careful who you trust. As David gathered more evidence, he became paranoid. He felt eyes on him everywhere. He noticed his computer running slower, his access to certain files mysteriously restricted. Thorne was closing in. The CEO had a sixth sense for threats, and he sensed one in the quiet coder who never looked him in the eye. Thorne started asking around about David, casual questions to his managers, trying to find a reason to get rid of him. The day it all came crashing down started like any other. Thorne was in a particularly foul mood. A major deal had fallen through, and he was looking for a scapegoat. His eyes landed on David, who was hunched over his desk, looking pale and stressed. Thorne decided David was the weak link. He called security. I want him out, Thorne barked into his phone. Now, I don't care what the reason is. Tell him his performance is subpar. Just get him out of my building. Two burly security guards appeared at David's desk. The entire open plan office fell silent. Heads popped up over cubicle walls. This was corporate drama at its most brutal. Mr. Chun, you need to come with us, one guard said, his voice flat. David's face went white. He knew this was it. He hadn't finished copying all the files. He hadn't contacted the authorities yet. He was being thrown out with nothing. As they marched him towards the elevator, he caught Marcus's eye across the room. He saw the shock and concern on the manager's face. In a last, desperate act, David subtly dropped a small USB drive near a potted plant by Marcus's department. It was a long shot, but it was all he had. The elevator doors closed, and David was gone. A smug smile crept across Thorne's face as he watched from his glass-walled office. He had purged the threat. He was safe. The office slowly returned to a low hum, people whispering about what had just happened. But Thorne's victory was short-lived. Just minutes later, Marcus, looking grave, walked past the potted plant. He'd seen David's desperate move. He quickly and discreetly picked up the USB drive. He went to his desk, plugged it in, and his eyes widened. It was all there. Spreadsheets, transaction logs, encrypted emails. It was a clear, damning trail of evidence leading directly to the CEO. Marcus had a choice to make. He could ignore it, keep his head down, and protect his comfortable career. Or he could do the right thing, even if it meant risking everything. He remembered his own words to David. Be careful who you trust. He decided it was time to trust his conscience. He picked up his phone and made a call. Less than an hour after David was escorted out, the elevator doors opened again, but this time it wasn't security. It was a group of men and women in dark suits, their faces grim and determined. They flashed their badges. FBI. Panic erupted in the office. The agents moved with calm, professional efficiency. Two of them walked straight into Richard Thorne's office. The CEO's smug expression dissolved into one of pure, unadulterated terror. Richard Thorne, one of the agents, said, "You're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering." As they cuffed Thorne and led him past his stunned employees, his eyes locked with Marques's. The CEO's face was a mask of confusion and rage. He had targeted the quiet coder to easy prey. He never even considered the senior manager, the one he had overlooked and underestimated for years, would be the one to bring him down. He had been so focused on the pawn that he didn't see the queen poised to checkmate him. The news spread like wildfire. The company's stock plummeted. The board went into crisis mode. But amidst the chaos, there was a sense of justice. The untouchable CEO was finally facing the consequences of his actions. And what about David? The FBI brought him in, not as a suspect, but as a key witness. With his testimony and the evidence he had gathered, the case against Thorne was ironclad. David was hailed as a hero, a whistleblower who had the courage to stand up to corruption. He received a substantial reward from the SEC and job offers from every major tech company in the country. In the end, Thorne's arrogance was his downfall. He believed his power made him invincible. He saw people not as human beings, but as pieces on his personal chessboard. He dismissed David as insignificant and overlooked Marcus entirely, blinded by his own prejudices. He thought he could silence the truth by simply firing an employee, but he forgot that in a world of ones and zeros, the truth always finds a way to get out. It's a powerful reminder that true strength isn't about how much power you have, but about the courage to do what's right, even when Juri, the one who seems to have the least power of all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next one.